My mom was a young single mom, so she in the 1960s left and went to Los Angeles, California to have me in secret. There was a church that was about a block from our house, and as a 5-year-old, I walked there by myself for Sunday school. What kept me going there, though, and I think is so important for everybody who listens to this, that you plant seeds as a Sunday school teacher or an adult in people's lives that you never know. They have no idea that those seeds were going to grow into who I am now.
Yeah. There was something about that church that drew you to it. What did they do with you when you arrived? Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Raising the Next Gen podcast. It is just my honor and pleasure to just join you every week to sit there and just talk about life and parenting and faith and all the things I just love to talk about. Today, I can't wait to introduce you to a good friend of mine, someone who I met 6 years ago at this point when I first arrived here at Calvary. And I remember having a conversation not too long after we met about this sort of dream to start a school. I had never heard anyone talk like that. And now she has started a school. Not only is she an incredible mother, an incredible grandmother, but she runs our school, Callan, over there. Callan Academy, right? Is what it's called?
Callan Prep Academy.
Callan Prep Academy. I wanted to get that right. This is my good friend, Chris Kragenbring. Hey, Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you are here. Chris, you've been around Calvary and Alexandria for a while. And I know that your story about how you ended up here at Calvary and all the things that went through it's a remarkable story of God's love and God's grace to you as a young person. But before we get to that story, will you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, tell us about your kids and your beautiful grandkids and all that stuff?
Sure. Yes, I'm the school director at Callan Prep Academy. I have been in education for 36 years.
It's amazing.
And I love it. I always say that if I don't love it, I need to retire, but I love it. So I was drawn to education because I needed adults in my life when I was young, and so here we are. I am married to Mark, who is incredible. He does not love teenagers, but he supports me tremendously. So he's kind of afraid of teenagers, you would say.
Yeah.
So, and then we have 2 daughters, and they're both almost in their 30s. I shouldn't put one of them there yet.
Yeah.
One's in their 30s, one's close, and we have 4 grandbabies.
Awesome. That's so good. I know that you got a grandbaby added this summer too. So she is so sweet and so cute. And that's just so much fun.
And she's named after me. So that's super fun. Yeah. Her middle name.
Her middle name. Okay. I didn't know her middle name.
Marie.
Love it. That's so beautiful. Yep. So you grew up in the Alexandria community. No, you didn't. I'm sorry.
I did not.
Okay. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Morris.
Oh, that's right. Morris. And
close.
Close. But you want to tell us a little bit about your story, kind of like your origin story, I guess, because that's part of your faith journey.
Is. Yeah. And we don't have a lot of time, but eventually, or essentially, I should say, my mom was a young single mom. And so she in the 1960s left and went to Los Angeles, California to have me in secret.
Ooh.
And then, so nobody in my hometown knew that. She was expecting me. And then she met a family. She was working at a nursing home, and they were Holocaust survivors.
Oh, that's an incredible story.
They were not judgmental of her.
Yeah.
And they took her in, and she ended up keeping me instead of putting me up for adoption.
Wow.
And there's my roots in L.A. I was baptized in a First Lutheran church in L.A.
In L.A.? Mm-hmm. So here's your mom, this teenager from Morris, who ended up pregnant and decided to just move to L.A. in the 60s to have this baby in secret. You know, it's interesting. I mean, I was a young mom, too. I think we've come a long way as a society when it comes to young moms.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness that we don't have to just go off to somebody's aunt and pretend like we didn't have this baby.
Absolutely.
So your mom was kind of nurtured by this nursing home full of Holocaust survivors.
Very much so.
That convinced her to keep you.
They supported her. They gave her a raise. They gave her a crib and a high chair and the things she needed. And
that's incredible.
Yes. So 2 years later, we came back to Minnesota to Morris.
Yeah.
And my dad was a Vietnam vet.
Okay.
And he was raised in a church that was very strict. And so when he turned 18, he said he was never going back to church.
Okay.
And he didn't for a very long time. That's a whole different story. But I convinced him to go to a Christian Together Encountering Christ.
Yeah. Okay,
TAC.
cool.
But so there was a church that was about a block from our house. And as a 5-year-old, I walked there by myself for Sunday school, which is kind of crazy. No, I can't.
Would you let your grandkids just walk to church at this point? So here you are, 5 years old.
Yes,
What do you
it's
think
crazy.
drew you to the church at 5 years old when your parents were not attending?
Yes. You know, I mean, I can only give the Holy Spirit credit for that.
Yeah.
I feel like I just was pursued from the beginning. And what kept me going there, though, and I think is so important for everybody who listens to this, that you plant seeds as a Sunday school teacher or an adult in people's lives that you never know. They have no idea that those seeds were going to grow into who I am now.
Yeah.
And they're all gone, of course. That was a long time ago, but yeah, it made all the difference.
There was something about that church that drew you to it. And they, what did they do with you when you arrived? Did they feed you, bring you into worship?
It's hard to imagine. I hope, they were welcoming. And my mom actually just found, she saved my coloring book that had all the Bible coloring pages in it. And she just gave that to me not so long ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so whenever I drive by that church, I just have, good feelings about them.
That's really good. So they welcomed you in at 5 years old as a single child at that point. And then, tell us about more of your growing up.
Yeah. So
kind of how that faith, that seed, how did it take root?
Yep. So I kind of call myself a church orphan.
Okay.
Because I would go wherever my friends wanted to be at church.
Sure.
And so I went to the free church for Bible school because it was super fun there. And so, there were a lot of games being played and I suppose yummy food, and we had fun. And then I went back to First Lutheran, actually. My friends were there and they were going to confirmation. And so I asked if I could go to church there. And I actually got confirmed. So baptized and now confirmed in First Lutheran Church.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then got married in that same church as well.
Incredible.
So pretty cool. But through that church, our church was on the cutting edge of things. We went on a houseboat trip.
That's amazing. We do houseboat trips too,
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I'm sure the people at the time thought, why are you taking kids? What does that have to do with God?
Yeah.
And it had everything to do with God because I got very connected to the pastor and the adults there, and they then, taught me more and more about the Lord. But also, I went to Luther Crest.
Oh, that's incredible. We love Luther Crest too. So these churches, then they supported your way to go on these houseboat and Luther Crest trips?
I assume so.
Okay.
Our family wasn't in a position to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, I never asked those questions.
No, I was just curious in that way. So as you were growing up and you were doing all of this church stuff, you said your dad was not a part of that church stuff. Was he against you going ever at all? Or was he sort of okay if you just wanted to go do it, but it just wasn't for him?
Right. Yeah, no, he was never against it.
Okay.
But he just had kind of a sour taste in his mouth about church, which was really sad for me. And I would ask him to do, just come for Christmas with us or just go to Easter. And he just was a kind of a stubborn person. And so then, when I went on that Together Encountering Christ adventure, I wanted him. He was the first person I wrote down that I wanted to go, and he actually did go.
He did. What was that
did.
experience like?
Crazy awesome.
Yeah.
He came back lighter, I would say. And unfortunately, he passed away at a very young age.
Yeah.
And at that event, they give everybody a Bible, and you sign each other's Bibles. And my dad had written a personal note to me in that Bible that I never knew existed.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's pretty powerful.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That is pretty powerful. So here's this guy who, Vietnam vet, I can imagine, he just doesn't want anything to do with it. And then his daughter talks him into going with him. So really, you were the evangelist at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, usually we talk about, particularly on this podcast, we talk about parents and their role in raising their kids in faith. But I think what's so unique about your story is that it's really the opposite.
Yeah.
You were the one who was leading and going and leading your parents, and then eventually your dad through this tech program to a lighter faith life. Probably some healing there from that childhood.
Major healing.
That's incredible. That is so beautiful.
Yeah. And that was a Catholic church.
Yeah.
So I just named Lutheran, Catholic, and non-denominational.
I think that's okay. You know, I think sometimes we get our so stuck into like, you know, what we know or what our family has always been. For my family, my mom was Catholic and my dad was Lutheran, and they dated for 7 years because they didn't know how to be married to each other with that kind of different faith. And it's really interesting to me because I don't think we're actually that far off when it comes down to it. You know, we're all kind of working towards the same goals, maybe with a slightly different lens.
Right.
And so you've experienced all these sort of lenses together as well. So how did you end up in Alexandria, Chris, like from all that kind of Morris upbringing?
Well, I student taught here.
Okay.
And actually there was a couple that lived here in town that invited me into their home to live with them while I student taught. So it was 3 months that I lived with them. And like, I love my parents dearly, and I don't want to, you know, skew this in any way, but there was a lot of turmoil between my parents. My dad had a drug and alcohol problem, and they were on a roller coaster. They separated and got back together, and then eventually divorced when I was in my 20s. So I give this family credit for showing me just what a peaceful family life would be like. And so that was a huge blessing for someone. One of the things they did in their home is they lit a candle with every meal to invite Jesus to the table. Yeah. And then they also held hands and did what they called their family promise, which was really neat.
What was that?
It was just like a poem that they had all memorized, and
kind of like a covenant amongst the people that were at the table?
Yes,
that's
exactly.
cool. That's a really
cool
faith practice.
Yeah, so I still, they hold a very special place in my heart because I learned in 3 months what family could be like in a more, in a healthier way.
Yeah.
Yes, and so then I loved it. I loved Alexandria. I wanted to come teach here. I left for a year because I didn't have any openings, and then I came back and I stayed.
Okay.
So...
And then about 5 years ago, you decided to sort of create a school.
I did.
You did. You felt kind of called. I would say that you were called by God, and I think I can say that. Yeah. Those little inklings were there. What was that process like for you?
I think it would be important to understand how I landed in teaching.
Sure.
I wasn't the model student. So, you know, we talked about my faith journey, but I was a bit of a rebel.
Okay.
And so, you know, through those, I give those faith opportunities like God's little nudge to get back on track. And I needed adults in addition to my mom and my dad. I needed other adults like I got through Luther Crest or through, you know, confirmation.
Yeah.
I had coaches, teachers, but most people didn't know what was going on, and nor did they take the time to ask.
You mean knowing what was going on in your home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and why was I being so rebellious?
Sure.
And so I trust, like, that was not a fun time, but I also trust that God had a plan. And, you know, now that that led me to teaching.
Yeah.
And I loved to read. Reading was my escape.
Okay.
And all my life. And so I thought, well, okay, I can be an English teacher.
Yeah.
And that's how I landed on my teaching path. My teachers were shocked. I chose to write apology letters to some of my teachers.
Oh, you did?
Because I was terrible.
That's really big of you.
Yep. And then one wrote back and said, I never understood why you hated me so much. And the other one wrote back and said, I always knew you had it in you.
Oh.
And so, the one, I'm not sure if he ever forgave me. And I mean, that's, I feel bad. I was not a nice child. But I think my life experiences helped me understand a variety of kids.
Yeah.
I was an athlete. I played college sports, and so I kind of fit into that crowd. And I was rebellious, and I fit into that crowd. And we were very poor for a period of time, and I got teased as a result of the clothes I wore, so I understood those kids.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that I experienced that were hard that tie into why I do what I do now.
Yeah. So that gave you a passion for trying to understand kids in their whole environment, that not just them as a student in your classroom,
right,
but that they also have stuff going on at home, or maybe they had this other situation, somebody's sick, somebody's addicted, something else is going on in that system, somebody's stressed. And so how do you actually teach understanding that one class that they're in is just one little part of this whole system of their entire life?
Yep.
So that brought you to teaching.
Yep. It did. And then I taught for 30 years. I taught English, grades 7 through 12. And then I wanted to do more. I wanted to be able to make decisions. I wanted to be more creative in my teaching realm.
Sure.
And so decided to try this charter school path. And we have 140 kids.
140 kids. And Callan has been around for...
This is our 5th year.
It's your 5th year. That's what I was gonna guess. So 5th year, 140 kids. What's that experience like at Callan? How is Callan sort of a different learning environment for students?
I always say the District 206 is a phenomenal school district. There's so much to offer students, and my children went to District 206. I worked there for 30 years. Many of those same educators are there, and they're phenomenal people. How Callan is different and why one big way is it's just smaller.
Yeah.
And so it's not as stimulating, and you can't hide.
Yeah.
And we can allocate our resources to smaller class sizes and more counseling abilities or availability for them. So it's a community. It's a very tight-knit community.
Yeah.
And the culture is, the first line of the charter application is love them first.
Okay, I love that.
So when you have that as your mission is to love them first, everything else falls into place. And some kids have a wall up that takes longer for them to let us in, and some are like all in right away, but most of them are on board by semester time.
Yeah,
by
semester time. Love them first. It sounds like that's actually, I look at your life and I think about how God has woven all these threads sort of together. You had those communities that chose to love your mom first over her pregnancy, to the point where they supported your coming into the world and supported your mom keeping you as opposed to giving you up for adoption. And then these little threads of these communities, of church communities, whether it was Catholic or evangelical or Lutheran, whatever that looked like, weaving those in so that you have this perspective where you've been loved.
Absolutely.
You've been loved by people and communities and mentored. You think about the couple that you lived with and the modeling that they did for you. That's incredible. And now you're in the position where you get to sort of pay that back to 140 students a year in that environment.
Yeah.
What a beautiful way to live your life story out into a vocation.
It's awesome.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. Not all of us get to sort. Although I think sometimes in my own pastoral ministry, I can see those things too. I can see where the church influenced me. For me, I was a moved kid. Like I moved about every 2 years. I went to 5 elementary schools and 3 high schools. And one of the things that I loved about church, we were very Lutheran growing up. I loved about church was that the liturgy was the same. So my bedroom wasn't the same. My classroom wasn't the same. My friends weren't the same, but that the liturgy, like I knew when to stand up and when to sit down. I knew what to sing in church because we sang the same songs, no matter if I lived in the South or if I lived in the North. But that gave me a stability And then I sit there and think like, now I love the liturgy. I love to sit there and create that stability for people as they're kind of growing in faith. As a mom and a grandma, what sort of faith practices do you guys practice in your own home that we can share, with everyone listening here with us today?
Yeah, that's fun. We do light a candle at every meal.
You do.
So we did carry that through.
I love that.
We hold hands when we pray.
Okay.
Which is also just special. Now it's just Mark and I at home, unless the kids come to visit, and we hold hands and pray.
Yeah.
So that has carried on. Another thing that is, I put a cross on my kid's forehead and my grandkids' forehead, like as you do in baptism. Mm-hmm. Yes. So they even still let me do that in their almost 30s and 30s.
That's awesome.
And same with my grandkids.
Yeah.
So we do attend church together. We're very, very blessed.
Yeah.
And we sit in the front row. And we have, or almost, you're in the front.
I'm in the front. You're right behind me, so I get to see which one of your grandkids are going to smile at me that day.
Yes, but even we went to a little tiny church near our home for 12 years before coming to Calvary. And we always sat near the front as well, because then the kids could see and they tend to pay attention a little bit more. And so we've just continued that into, having now the grandkids there.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I think parents are kind of split on that. Sometimes they want to be in the front so kids can see, and sometimes they want to be in the back so that if they need to get like a drink of water to the bathroom, it's less distracting.
It's
or
a track.
Whatever. It's really
busy.
Fun. No, that's amazing. I think about those faith practices that you chose to integrate those into your adult home, as somebody who didn't grow up with those, but then were modeled those. Then you got to bring them into your adult home. And now my guess is that your kids, they're choosing their paths when it comes to faith in their home and have learned some things sort of from you and Mark as you set your own table. You said, you know what, these are the parts that I'm not going to pick up, and these are the parts that I'm going to pick up and live forward sort of into the future. I think that's what raising kids in faith is all about. We talk a lot here at Calvary about how faith is not taught, it's caught.
Yep.
And for you, it wasn't necessarily caught from your folks, but it was caught from people around you who mentored and supported, cared for you. And then later, you had these opportunities with your parents as well.
Absolutely.
And that's just an incredible, incredible gift. As we kind of close our time here together today, any last wisdom when it comes to people who are trying to mentor kids who maybe have some stuff going on, like in their homes, in their house? They're trying to teach those scrappy little Chris's who are in their class who are, a little rebellious. What wisdom would you offer people listening here today?
Yeah, I really think it's that simple, love them first. You just, I think all kids are good at hurt. Yeah. And if you take the time to listen to them, every day is a new day.
Yeah.
Teenagers are tough. And before I left work today, I told one of our newer kids, I said, you could call me, you could swear at me yesterday, but today is a new day, and if you are like, oh, sorry, then it's wiped from my memory. And I just think whether you're a parent of a teenager or a teacher, grandparent, kids are kids. They're going to make mistakes. Start over, love them first. Embrace them. They're awesome. They're amazing. Yeah. We can learn from them.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. And listeners at home, I hope that that's what you take away here today. Love them first, no matter what kind of mood your young person is throwing at you today or what kind of situation you walked in, to just sit there and breathe and say, love them first. This is exactly what Jesus taught us as well. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the Raising the Next Gen podcast. I admire you. I admire how you have how God's used you in this world and continues to use you in this world. And I just feel honored that I get to kind of witness it and be your friend in the process. So thank you for that.
Thank you for asking me.
Oh my gosh, I love having you here. Friends, if you're new to the Raising the Next Gen podcast, I want to invite you to like and subscribe. We're so glad that you have tuned in to listen to us today. You can join us or find anything out at our website, raisingthenextgen.org. Have a great day.